Was just watching the clip of Wack 100 defending Benzino. He was arguing with this guy, this LGBT person, who was basically saying that Benzino has to be gay because he was in a hotel room with another man. And the first thing that I think about when I hear this conversation is I think about rock bands. Whenever you watch a documentary about a rock band, they always start at the beginning when the band was just starting up, when they were local bands, or they were regional, or they were just starting up and hadn't got their deal yet. They were working towards their deal, and in the beginning they always say, yeah man, things were rough. We would get a room and all of us would sleep in a room. And even when they make it to the top, it's kind of like the same thing. You don't if you're on the road with a band, you got the members of the band. Say you got 5 members: drummer, guitar, another guitarist, bass player, singer. There's 5 individuals. And say you got roadies, and each guitar player has guitar techs that help them. When they're playing live, they have to bring them different guitars. They have to tune their guitars, and everybody has a tech. The drummer has a tech. Bass has a tech, guitars have techs, the singer has techs, and they might have 2 techs apiece. So that 5 people in the band has to be supplemented by another 10 people who are actually providing tuning and helping them change drumsticks and all that stuff when they're performing live. Because each song has a different sound, so they got to constantly change their instruments up, right? And if a problem happens, like a string breaks, the tech has to go handle that. And then you have your managers, your road manager, So you got like 11 people, and it's not realistic to get a room for everybody. You get 11 different rooms, and say the hotel's booked and they don't have many rooms left. Whenever a hotel is filled to capacity, the rooms that are available are going to be higher. Let's say the average hotel room in like a Marriott is like $250, $300. Times that by 11. I mean, especially if you're only going to be there for a night. It's more economical to put people in different, to bunk up. And to say that makes somebody gay, it's odd. Nobody wants to be buying 11 rooms a night if you're only going to stay there overnight. That's just ridiculous. And it's the same thing with rappers. The rapper is not the only person on the road. Normally they're in a bus or they're catching planes. They got a whole crew of people with them, and it's just not realistic for them to buy 20 different rooms, 11 different rooms for one person, especially if you're only going to be there just to sleep. So, I don't know, man. It just goes to show you that society is all about being salacious. Everybody loves to hear drama and stuff like that. And the fact that they banned Wack 100 because he was mean to an LGBT guy, it's ridiculous. I think that everybody should be afforded the same right, which is to be who you want to be. And nobody should be able to trample on that. And there is a energy in the world where people who are in the LGBT community feel like they aren't being disrespectful to heterosexuals because they think heterosexual people are the establishment, so they have the right to chastise them and treat them the way that they claim they are treating them. So my whole thing is, if you're saying that this group of people is oppressing you and treating you with discriminatory action, it's not okay for you to return that same energy. Just because you think that this particular group is the establishment or the norm or bigger than your group doesn't give you the right to do the same thing to them. It's just like racism. You can't say, oh, this group of people is racist, but then you're racist to them. And you can't feel like, oh, I'm obligated to I can do that because they're the establishment. They're bigger than us. So we can be racist to them, but they can't be racist to us. And it's just this whole thing about truth. Most people aren't really interested in getting to truth. Most people aren't interested in settling differences. Most people have their own personal agenda, and even though they're having a conversation with another person, they're not trying to come to an understanding with that person. They're trying to push their agenda, or they're trying to create some salacious soundbite. Because if 2 people genuinely wanted to work out a difference, that's easy. Hey, I feel this way, you feel that way. How can we get past this. But most people aren't doing that. Most people are pushing an agenda. Most people are politicizing conversations for their own goals. There's a lot of politicians out here, you know, and they got their own agenda. And like I said, very few people are really interested in getting to the truth. And people love entertainment. And that's like what it's all about nowadays. You know, it's a crazy world, but, you know, you can't say somebody's gay just because you want them to be gay. You know, I mean, it's ridiculous.